Hello, everyone. My name is Szczepanski, and today I'll be sharing my thoughts from the 2023 Ecological Integration Symposium speaker panel. This session, moderated by Jordan Solomon, featured a group of respected scientists who offered thoughtful perspectives on ecology, conservation, science, communication, and their own personal journeys. The panel included Dr. Dan Simberloff from the University of Tennessee, an expert in invasion biology. Dr. Rodrigo Mendelin from UNAM in Mexico, a leading conservationist ecologist. Dr. Kelly Zumadio, a molecular biologist from UT Austin. Dr. William Martin from Arizona State University, specializing in behavioral evolution. And of course, Jordan Solomon, a PhD candidate who led the panel with powerful, thought provoking questions. The panel began with something that really stood out to me: personal storytelling. Each speaker shared how they first as identified as scientists, many recalling the thrill of publishing their first paper. These stories reminded me that behind every data point and publication is a person with passion, curiosity, and drive. It was inspiring to see that the path to science isn't always linear and that success comes in many forms. One of the most important topics they discussed was the growing skepticism towards science, especially around the issue like climate change or even flat earth conspiracies. The panel emphasized that one of the best ways to combat this is communication, not just presenting the facts, but telling stories, connecting emotionally, and meeting people where they are. They also mentioned that education at the K through 12 level is crucial. Too often, by the time students reach college, their views about science are already formed. So, if we want to make lasting change, we need to start earlier, with better science education and more engaging real world content in the schools. Another major takeaway was the need for empathy in science. Scientists need to listen, not just speak. Understanding different perspectives, especially from communities affected by environmental change. Change is the key to building trust. Rodrigo Mendelin said something that stuck with me. Science needs to connect to the people. It's not enough just to publish journals. We must engage in dialogue and be patient with skepticism and be open to learning from everyone. Another topic was conservation. When asked how we can protect endangered ecosystems and species, the panel brought up some great insights. Dr. Simberloff pointed out how focusing on individual species can be an effective entry point, almost like building blocks to restore an entire ecosystem. One example shared was involved Texas landowners. If you own 10 or more acres and manage your land for wildlife, you can get a property tax break. Imagine if neighbors created a wildlife cooperative and had conservation on private land, and it could make a more powerful movement. This panel made it clear how science should not live in an ivory tower, which they described as an isolated studies. Whether it's involving citizens in conservation, incorporating traditional ecological knowledge, or communicating research in everyday language, we need to democratize science. These panelists also stressed that you do not need a PhD to make a difference. Roles in conservation policy, roles in conservation policy, education, outreach, and even art can be just as impactful. The key is passion and not titles. Some of the big takeaways from this session: personal stories make science more relatable. Empathy and listening are just as important as data. Conservation needs to be a community involvement. Science communication is critical, especially in early education. You can make an impact with or without a traditional academic path. Finally, this panel showed me that the future of science, especially ecological and conservation work, isn't just about the environment. It's about people, stories, and connection. It challenged me to not only think about what we study, but how and why we share it. I'm grateful to have learned much from this panel, and I hope it inspires you as much as it inspired me. Thank you, Luke Szczepanski.